Welcome to Philly Fortune Talks with your host, Jake Penny, where the city's brightest minds share the secrets behind their success. Are you ready to be inspired?
Welcome to another episode of Philly Fortune Talks, where we highlight the stories of Philadelphia's most successful and inspiring leaders. Today, we are thrilled to introduce Maria Quattrone, a visionary in real estate industry with over 25 years of experience. Maria is the founder and CEO of Maria Quattrone and Associates of Remax at Home. With a career spanning over 2 decades, she has transformed the real estate landscape in Philadelphia, its surrounding suburbs, and New Jersey. A Philadelphia native and Temple University alumni, Maria founded her company in 2005 and has since built it into a powerhouse focusing on a consumer-first approach that sets her apart from the competition. Maria's achievements are remarkable. Her company has sold over 2,700 properties, amassing over $700 million in sales. She has been ranked number 1 among all RE/MAX agents in Pennsylvania, 17th worldwide, and 75th of Wall Street's Journal's top 100 real estate agents in the U.S. in 2019. Her innovative approach and dedication to excellence has earned her numerous accolades, including the Chairman's Club, Hall of Fame, and prestigious Titan Club. Beyond her professional successes, Maria is passionate mentor and educator. She's created the Rise in Real Estate training program to help aspiring real estate professionals build successful careers. Additionally, she's the host of Be the Solution podcast, a national sensation that encourages listeners to find solutions in both business and in life. Maria is also deeply committed to the community service, supporting various organizations such as Big Brother, Big Sister, American Red Cross, Haven Women, the American Foundation of Suicide Prevention, Michael's Giving Hand, and American Cancer Society. Join us as we delve into Maria Quattrone's journey, her insights on leadership, innovation, and business strategy, and her unwavering commitment to making a difference in the real estate industry and beyond. Let's get started on Philly Fortune Talks. Maria, it's a pleasure to have you on.
Well, thank you very much, Jake, for that amazing introduction. And it's my pleasure to share some time with you today on Philly Fortune Talks.
Thank you, Maria. Well, let's get started by, you've had an impressive career in real estate. Can you share a pivotal moment early in your career that has significantly shaped your path?
Pivotal point.
An aha moment.
Aha moment. Well, I think one of the aha moments is when I realized, and I was many years in, that the most important part of this is to enjoy the journey. If you don't enjoy the journey, what's the point?
That definitely hit me a couple of years ago. I lost myself in the journey because I kept looking forward and not in the now. And I got super unhealthy, super out of shape, and lost my mission and purpose and passion for real estate. So that's super important, is enjoying the journey and the fruits of today, not later.
Yeah, 100%.
So what's inspired you to start your own real estate company, and how do you envision its growth from the beginning?
What inspired me? Start RE/MAX?
Yeah, or RE/MAX, or just getting into real estate in general.
I'll go through why I got into real estate. I was in advertising sales for 11 years. I sold radio advertising, and I wanted an opportunity to do more, to have more control over my financial destination. And so real estate was brought up to me by a very good friend. And so I investigated it. And after my thorough investigation, I decided that I was going to go ahead and classes for my real estate license while I was still working. So I had a dual career for about a year while I launched my real estate career.
That's a fast transition, 1 year. Usually people go dual career for a long time because they never get the knack for real estate.
Yeah, it was 11 months, actually 10 months. And I sold from March 31st till December 31st. That first year, I had 17 sides sold
Wow. That's
in 2004.
wow, that's way more than the average real estate agent getting started.
Yeah, and then year two, which was my first year full time, I did 38 sides
Wow. That's really
20 years ago.
that's in 20 years ago too, without like a hell of a lot of resources that you have nowadays. I mean, I remember my neighbor, he had his real estate license and I was his landscaper. I cut his grass and he told me what it was like being a real estate agent, back when he was, and he was like, we had to drive people around in our cars with like a magazine of like all the listings. There was no like online MLS. It was 10 times harder to be a successful real estate agent back then.
Yeah, well, we did have the MLS. It wasn't like it is today, but we did not have DocuSign. And you did have to drive offers to the other agent office. You had to meet with clients in person to get deals signed. Anything on a transaction, whether it was a change in terms, everything had to be in person because they had initial. So either you had to go to their house, or you had to come to the office, or you had to meet them at a coffee shop to sign um, paperwork. So it was a lot more time involved, a lot more time. And
Yeah.
it never failed that on a Friday night, I'd have to drive to Northeast Philly to Feasterville to drop off an offer to for a listing that's downtown, 50 minutes away.
So you're saying you couldn't send an offer over email in a couple seconds.
No,
That's tough work.
no, the offer had to be, we have them delivered in an envelope with the check attached to it. And it'd have to go to the listing broker's office.
Wow. Wow, it's amazing how times have changed and the industry has evolved over
Right,
even
which has
a
made
few decades.
a lot more lazier people and a lot more efficient in what we do, but the people that didn't have to do that before really don't know what it was to work in real estate. And yes, we did put people in our cars. We did actually have to go to offices and pick up keys in some uh, for some properties. Literally, the keys were at the office. So if you wanted to show that property, you had to go to that office, pick up the keys, show the property, bring the keys back.
Yeah, and I bet you that has been a very impactful experience because of all the work ethic that you had built from starting as a real estate agent in those times where there wasn't many resources. You had to have the grit and the work ethic and just the drive way more than agents do now these days. I feel like a lot of agents these days are lazy. They feel like all these people are going to come to me. They don't want to do the work, or they've kind of shit the bed in another career and they figured, hey, real estate's the quick rich quick thing.
Yeah,
So you're coming.
not for most.
Not, yeah, no, definitely not. It's not easy. I mean, I was going to be an agent and hell, I couldn't do it. It was a lot of work. Uh, back in what, like 2015. So power to you. So your company and you have achieved tremendous success. What key strategies have, been instrumental in reaching over, 700 million in sales? That's a lot.
One, treating people as people, caring, giving a fuck. I won't allowed to say that.
Hey, that's being real.
That's that's a big part of it. I have a lot of, I have a lot of clients that I've known for almost the entire span of my career that we continue to work with, not by accident. I would say doing the work, making the calls, being transparent, open, honest, not buying the business, telling people what they need to hear, not what they want to hear, good, bad, or indifferent, not being attached to the outcome, being attached to the process, continually following the process, doing the process, It's in the work and in the process is where you become a different person. And when you become a different person, things change. But it's not just about the process, but it's about the person you become by doing the work.
Mm. So people over profits and not being transactional, not looking at people as a transaction.
I mean, I think that's probably a good rule of thumb in any organization.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. If people put profits, after people before profits, I think everybody would be a lot more successful because at the end of the day, without people, you have no profits. So look at what is necessary first and provide as much value as you possibly can. And if you can't provide, the value that you don't know how to, where can you be resourceful to get them the answers that they need?
Mm.
Can you describe a particular challenging period for yourself or your company that you overcame?
Mm, sure. Circa 2016, I had been Remax for now 2 years, and I had recruited about a dozen or so new agents into business, and I was training them from the ground up. And I realized about November of that year, pretty much everybody that was brought in over the last year had either quit or I fired them or whatever. But by that time of the year, I realized that if I wasn't getting back into selling at a high level, I was going to be broke. And so I transformed myself once again to be in a high sales oriented environment. And then again, I went back to the drawing board during COVID and then 2021, brought out the Pennsylvania Real Estate Scholarship Program. And again, after 2 years of that, same thing, back into high selling. So I'd say, oh, and there's another time too. People really want to hear about. Everybody always wants to paint how great and rosy everything is. It's just not true. So in 2013, October 28th to be exact, I was exited from the firm that I was in. I found out that possibly I was going to be opening a Remax. I had not solidified that, and so I was kicked out.
Mm.
Probably cost me $1 million between the exit fees, the lost time, effort, the lost what it did to me emotionally, mentally, um, making other agents whole that were with our team because they took out the exit fee. So, and then just, trying to get all the listings I had back.
What did the grit, the grind, the mindset look like behind that to rebuild, getting kicked out or the exit or what you call it
Yeah,
to
so it was
rebuild
like,
your career?
I mean, at that time it was adrenaline focused. In 6 weeks, I opened up a real estate brokerage company. It was unheard of in the state of Pennsylvania. So that means getting corporate docs all filled, everything, and getting inspected and stamp approval within 6 weeks. I was approved on Christmas Eve, 2013.
That's a
And
great Christmas present.
we opened officially January 2nd, 2014 as Remax at home.
That's awesome.
So, and it was a big challenge. It was a lot of, it definitely was adrenaline focus that you just kept going, you kept moving, you just kept doing. And then, the 2 years that followed, it was like a massive hangover from the mental anguish of being one of the top of 650 agents in an organization and being exited. Not just the way that it was done, but the way that it was portrayed to people in the industry, public, whatever, that I was like kicked out basically because I did something wrong and I didn't do anything.
Mm. So leadership and management come into a big way right there. Building back, opening your own brokerage firm, Remax. So how's your leadership style over, the years evolved, and what have you learned about leading a successful team and organization?
Oh, accountability comes in mind, yet people still don't want to be accountable. So
Mm.
I think that's one of the hardest things. And actually, it's one of the highest forms of love is to hold people accountable to what they said they were going to do. Yet, so many in our industry of real estate don't want to be accountable because they're like to give excuses for why things can be done instead of why it can be done. But that's all part of it. I think from a leadership standpoint, I think you show people by action. So I'm in the office every day. I'm on the phone. I make the calls. I do the appointments. I do exactly what I ask the agent partners in our company to. I think that there's no better way than to lead by being the example, by being the solution.
So you preach what you actually do.
Yeah,
You're
and there's
you're
nothing
being the perfect role
sex.
model.
There's nothing sexy about it. This is not a glamorous business in any sense of the imagination. What people see on Instagram and all this nonsense that goes on is a bunch of bullshit. Um, yeah, very serious today.
It's funny you say that, all the stuff you see on social media and the TV and everything like that is a bunch of bullshit. Um, it's very true. Everybody thinks they can do it because they see all the Instagram stuff, the lavish lifestyle, or they watch HETV on the investment side or DIY network, whatever. And I could attest to that. I've been on DIY Network. It's total bullshit. And they make it so glamorous and make it look easy. And I've had people reach out to me, "Oh, anybody can do what you do." No, not anybody. No, I don't think so. Nobody can. A lot of people can't be a real estate agent. I mean, they can if they can pass the test, but can they truly be an actual real estate agent that has the numbers and provides value to people? No. It takes a successful person like yourself, the qualities that you have, the leadership style that you have, the grit, the grind of being pushed over and getting back up and doing it all over again. A lot of people will just quit.
Indeed, which is why if you look at the numbers from people in the industry before 2008, there's only 7% of us here.
Yeah, I think the average real estate agent across the nation makes like $34,000 a year. And I'm not a real estate agent, so I mean, what does that look like on a sale basis? Is that what? Two listings, three listings?
Well, they probably represented buyers. So maybe they did 4 or 5 sides.
And is that a lot? Is that the needle mover?
Maybe a month.
So you're saying if one of your agents were doing that, you wouldn't be too happy?
5 sides for the year? No. I think
I'm not happy
everybody,
looking in on that either.
I have no words.
That's called the lazy agent, right?
I think it's maybe somebody that's not really serious about being a successful realtor, uh, somebody who is at this full time. And I don't mean full time as in your only job. I mean full time as in time spent in the industry. People say, "Oh, I am full time." I'm like, "But what do you work like 25 hours a week?"
Mm.
I ask people all the time what they do all day. I'm like, "What do you do all day?" People will come in for an interview. I said, "Tell me about your day. How many people did you talk to today? How many emails did you send? How many text messages did you send? How many doors did you knock? How many market updates did you send out? How many handwritten notes did you write?
Yeah, and you're pretty
Most of the
spot on.
most of the time, people don't do hardly anything all day, honestly. I said, well, I would see people out. I'm sure I'll see people this evening. So I'm going through a real estate thing. I said, so tell me about how you're doing. Who are you focusing on? Expires. I said, okay, let's play. I said, call me. Do a role play. I'm expired. We'll get like 1 or 2 sentences in. I said, let's go. They don't know the script. They don't know the questions. You don't know the questions, you're going to have a hard time calling an expired and speaking to them about how you can be the solution.
Mm.
So people say, oh, I don't like scripts. I'm like, well, that's great, but you know the questions you need to ask? Because there's some staple questions that we need to know all the time. And you can call it whatever you want to call it. You don't want to call it a script and dialogue. I don't care what you call it. You don't go to a doctor's office and they ask you the same shit, right? They ask everybody the same question. They want to see, okay, now let me take your blood work. Step on the scale, right? All these things, they do the same stuff. Did you get your blood work done? Let me take your blood pressure. You gotta open your mouth, right? They want to take your temperature. Well, we have the same things that we have to do too, because otherwise we can't diagnose what the problem is and we can't be the solution.
Yeah, and there's definitely different problems and different solutions for, well, different problems per se, um, for all different walks of, issues
Depends.
in
Are
real
you
estate.
are you an investor who is possibly, this property is going sideways? You can't rent it, you can't sell it. What are you going to do? What's the solution? Were you on the market and you're expired and it didn't sell and you don't understand why the hell not? What happened? What were the showings? What did they say? What did the agent say? What was the feedback? Did you have any offers? How many showings did you have? Um, how was the access? Did you always allow payments? Like, or so many questions, so many things we need to know. What's your motivation? What happens if this home doesn't sell? How soon do you want the home to be sold? Where are you going to go next? Have you already found your next home? How soon do you relocate it to Chicago for work? Oh, you already have to be there. Okay. Well, how quickly do you need to get there now? 30 days. Okay. We can devise a plan for that. I saw you're in the market for 300. If I was able to bring you a cash offer today for 275, is that something that would you entertain that? You need to understand, you need temperature checks. You need to dip your toe in the water. You need to ask
Yep.
questions. You need to understand their motivation. Or your first time buyer. Okay. Have you bought any major purchases lately?
Mm.
When's your lease in your car up? People don't think about this. Oh, I'm just going to get another lease. No. If you're in like month 32, it's a big difference than if you're going to get a new one and you're going to be on month 2. Because let's just call it $40,000 exposure is now 40 grand. And before that, you were at 1,000. It
No, that's
changes, it
your
changes
purchasing
your
power.
financial scenario. Most people don't think to answer these questions. Do not buy one effing piece of furniture until you close. Do not spend 1 cent.
Yeah, I always heard horror stories when I was in the office, and I didn't even have a license at the time, but I would hear real estate agents talking and be like, "Oh my God, my client just used their credit card and did this purchase, and now the mortgage company is having a shit fit, da 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 da." And it's like, well, if you were a good, solution driven person, you would have known all those things in between from, hey, they found a property to it's under contract to the settlement table. This is what can happen. This is an absolute no-no. And like you said, there's a million things that you need to know to be a great real estate agent, to provide
It's
your,
not just passing a test, getting a license and
no.
selling. I mean, and Most of the times people go to a brokerage, they just hang the license, and then it's like, the Wild Wild West, as I call it.
Yeah, I look at it as like a nursing degree. It's like, yeah, you can get through schooling and pass the test and everything like that, but once you're pushed out into the real world, it's an art. There's a lot of different ways to go about it. A lot of stuff that they don't teach on in the real estate school or whatever it may be that you have to learn either from your peers, your mentors, or from trial and error.
I would say that 90% is not in the real estate class.
What would you say that the real estate class is majority based of?
Pass the test. Well, you need to know math, you need to know the laws, you need to know what the state laws are for the PA commission. So I always tell everybody memorize them. That's what I did. I got 100 on that section. And then you have to know some math. Like they're going to ask math questions. They're going to ask questions about fair housing. There's things that you do need to know. You need to know about fair housing. You need to know what redlining is. You need to know what these other things are that, so you don't get yourself in trouble. People will say, well, okay, so I'm asking you to provide your proof of funds, but if I don't ask everybody to provide proof of funds, then technically, I am discriminating.
Hmm.
You have to treat everybody the same. Otherwise, it's considered discrimination, but people don't look at it like that. Most agents.
Yeah, and it's pretty crazy too, because it takes one slip up for one bad thing to happen, and then you could get penalized for that.
Yeah, you could get, sometimes mistakes happen. We're human, but generally, you should try to avoid those things
Right.
by being knowledgeable, by attending, seminars, going to conferences, learning from your peers, reading books, doing the work, having a mentor, being on the team.
So, building your team, what qualities have you, looked for and prioritized and why?
You just don't know.
Tell me.
You look for people that are believed to be good people, but you can't tell who's going to be productive.
Mm.
I could swear to you, oh my God, this one, she is going to be amazing. He is going to kill it. He's going to make so much money. And you know what happens every time?
Why do you think that is?
They shit the bed. We don't know we don't know who is going to be productive. I don't care how many tests you give somebody. Nope. You just don't know.
Hmm.
And I'd like somebody to challenge me on it if you don't believe me. But I've been through it. I have been through it. I've seen many people come in guns a-blazing, only to find out that they're one-hit wonders. You've heard of one-hit wonders, right? They have this great song. Oh my God, it's so good. And the song keeps playing over and over, and then you never hear from them again. That's kind of like what happens with real estate agents.
So, balancing your professional and personal commitments must be challenging. What daily habits or routines help you stay focused and effective? I know you started doing this a lot lately, sharing more things to be aligned and held accountable. So, what does some of those things look like for you on a daily basis?
Well, I think that I don't know about what balance is because I think it's really hard to figure out what that means for you because there's always something that has to give. But nonetheless, I think at the end of the day, look at your day, see where you did well, see where you fell short, rate yourself the night before, look at the next day. What do you have going on? What are you going to wear? Where are you going? Are you prepared? Do you have your lunch? Is everything stacked in your favor? I think that if you wake up and you're like with a chicken without the head, and literally you're going in all directions and you just don't start the day off well, it really affects the rest of your day. So having
Mhm.
things laid out, planned out, this is what's happening, and start the day off with a strong note. And I think that sets the stage for your day.
Yeah, I'm a firm believer. I think we actually talked about this over dinner one time was, the way you structure your morning will, determine the outcome of your day, I truly feel. It's just like if you beat your morning, you can beat the rest of your day without a doubt.
100%. And do the tough things in the morning.
Hmm. I did the easy stuff for a while and you would never get to the hard stuff. Tomorrow's another day. Tomorrow's another day. And then I realized I was never actually getting to the needle moving stuff. I was like,
And
man,
then the other part of it is that do things today that you can do today. Meaning, if you, okay, somebody called in this morning for a consult with me for a duplex. I happened to answer the phone. I took all the information. I was slammed this afternoon, but I squeezed him in at 3 o'clock because I don't want to wait for tomorrow, anything that I can do today. One, they could change your mind, go somewhere else. Two, I might have something else I have to do tomorrow. Right now, I could have had an opening, but what if something more important comes in? Then the opening's not there.
mm,
So squeeze anything you can in the day of, not wait till next day or the next day. So if you have call somebody and they want to sell today, go meet with them today. I know people are scheduling appointments a week out. Now, if their schedule is that's what it is, then sure. But if they're like, yeah, I'm ready, and you can be like, okay, you ready? You can come today, later. Go, okay, cool. Gotta ask.
utilize that white space on the calendar. I'm
Yeah, I
listening.
didn't have much white space, and, but I'm like, okay, I'll call when I'm in the car, is what I was thinking.
Yeah. I mean, the car, I mean, it's funny that you bring that up is a lot of people could utilize that a lot better, whether that's listen to podcasts, audiobooks, YouTubes, or making that call that you could get another sale or following up with that prospect. A lot of people spend a lot of time in the car. Just think about if you stack those hours up over a week, a month, a year, what time you could actually get back and be more effective and more successful at the end of the day.
Right. So I have a driver, so I get to use my
Hell yeah. Uh, I have a chauffeur. The driver's name is Liana. That's my partner.
same thing.
I don't do much driving. It's probably best that I don't.
Yeah, didn't we talk about this?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
Chip drives me all around.
Yep, yep, yep. So, it, any books or podcasts besides your own or mentors that have had significantly influenced your approach to real estate and leadership?
Mm. Hmm. Well, I do like Ed Myleth's podcast. Um, yeah. And one of my favorite books, I'm rereading it right now, The Compound Effect,
Mm,
Aaron Hardy.
Darren Hardy.
It's a good little book. I've given out probably 100 of them. I mean, there's so many books. Atomic Habits. I mean, I have books behind me here. Right
Yeah.
here. I Yeah, the Blue Ocean Strategy. That's a really good book. But there's tons. I mean, I read, all of them, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, Napoleon Hill. Um, uh, God, I can't even think. So many. Oh, Dale Carnegie, How to Win
Okay.
Friends and Influence People. I
That's
read tons
super
of Brian,
important.
yeah, tons of Brian Tracy books, back in the day. Actually used to listen to his CDs back in like the 90s.
Brian Tracy.
Yeah,
I
back in the
actually
night and the 90s in the car.
was it DVD? Was it a CD or cassette?
I had both.
Okay,
This cassette first.
got it. Yeah, I looked when I started getting into like personal development. I didn't have a lot of money. I was just a college kid, wound up being a dropout, and I would go on eBay and look for like Darren Hardy or Zig Ziglar or Brian Tracy, like courses, and a lot of um, the ones that were on eBay were um, like cassettes.
Oh,
So I was like,
yeah,
oh, I don't even have that thing. So, yeah, that's funny. That's funny.
yeah.
I wanted to bring up a story that you told me and, kind of ask you how it has played a, role in your success is tell us about being a rose girl and how's that, totally evolved your work ethic. Because I remember you telling me the story and it's pretty impressive, um, what you did and also, having to pretty much prospect.
So, what a lot of people don't know what a rose girl is. It was circa 1988 to 90 in that range. And I would go in this tux fishnet outfit with a basket of roses. And my boss had me go. They had the accounts or different bars. So I would drive my car from bar to bar with a basket of roses. And I'd walk in and I would sell roses to the man, buy for the woman, or sometimes they bought them for me because I was so sweet and beautiful when I was younger. Anyway, still sweet, but not as young. Um, and sometimes I got really lucky and somebody bought the entire basket, which meant my night wasn't over. But I did this for 2 years and it was like a little stressful too because I'd have to go from bar to bar to bar and I was on a time schedule. I don't know if I told you that part. So I might be at this bar for 20 minutes and I might be at some other bar for an hour and I might be somewhere for 15 minutes. So I don't have a lot of time. So in 20 minutes, I had to try to get rid of as many roses as possible. Sometimes I would go and there'd be no people in there. The bar had an off night or it wasn't a busy night for that bar. Or sometimes there were so many people and the nightclubs were so packed that you couldn't even sell the rose because you couldn't even get through the crowd.
Hmm.
So you don't want it too slow. You don't want it too busy. I don't want it right, you know, middle of the road. That's hard to, you can't like predict that. So I only have the customers that are in the bar. So I would talk with them about why they should be buying a rose for their honey or maybe somebody across the bar that they want me to deliver the rose to. So I had different techniques in 1988, 1989, and 1990. Selling roses in bars. Yes, one of the chapters in my books. Strippers and roses. More to come on that later. You'll have to have me on your show another time for that conversation.
Awesome. So how does it sounds like you moved over those skills and it sounds like you all pretty much had scripts too to sell those roses. Not that they were, out there and you had a package that says, hey, these are Rose Girl scripts, but you obviously had to make a sale and whatnot. You obviously had to have um, some type of sales skills. So how does that all transition, or how do you think it transitioned over into real estate? Stuff you learned from that, the skills, the traits, everything like that.
Well, I went from selling roses and then I sold advertising for 11 years. So we took the rates from selling advertising, which was a lot of phone calls all day long, dialing for dollars, dialing for opportunities to meet with business people so that I can work with them to help them increase their advertising. So ultimately they increase their revenue. So going from that to selling a house, it's pretty easy. I just had to learn the real estate contracts and real estate. I didn't have to learn how to sell. I already knew how to talk to people. I knew how to talk to people since I was knocking on doors selling wrapping paper and Christmas cards. I
Wow.
was 9.
So you've been an entrepreneurial spirit, since a ye little lad.
Yeah, my whole life.
So what's your thoughts on diversified investments beyond traditional real estate?
Mm, treasury bonds.
Maybe, you know, in the same realm of real estate, right?
I mean, you could always have, like you do, portfolio of tenants. That's a good business, but it is a business. And you really need to understand that business. And it is a business. So having a couple rentals is just a waste of time. You're going to do it, you should do it and set it up as a business, just like anything. Whether that's single family investments, multifamily, it's holding land and sitting on land, buying into, storage units, doing syndication, investing in a fund. There's all different ways that you can invest in real estate. And I'm sure that you have plenty of things you could talk to them about, Jay, about how you help grow people's in retirement funds through
Absolutely.
investing in real estate.
Yes, we can help with that. That's for sure. So what's exciting on the forefront? Any projects going on? Anything big for your company, your brokerage? And
Yes, but I can't tell you. I'd have to kill you. So
oh,
you have to have me back on in a few months.
all right.
Secret, top
Got
secret.
it. So if you had one inspiring piece of advice for any new real estate professionals to make significant impact, what would that be?
Whether you think you can or think you can't, either way, you're absolutely right. Henry T. Ford. Your first thing is you have to believe in yourself. And if you don't believe in yourself, get a borrowed belief from somebody else and use what they did as your borrowed belief and take that for your own. Because if you don't believe that you can do it, you will not do it. You just won't. It's not possible. You have to have belief. You
Yeah,
have to have belief.
the biggest barrier.
I did real quick before we have to go, but I did something a decade or so ago. I went around the room to my sales team at the time. I asked everybody, how many appointments can you go on a month? Or how many transactions, excuse me, can you do a month? This wasn't a trick question. They wanted to see what they believed. I got 2, 2, 5, 4, 7, 2, 1. Nobody will ever go over more than what they believe they can do. It's a fact.
Wow.
You will not go over more than you actually believe you can do. I had an ISA team at the time. I was setting appointments. They weren't even going on the appointments. They weren't going on the appointments because they didn't believe they could do any more transactions than they were already doing.
Huh. And why do you think that is? Because people just can't get out of their own way?
Some psychological thing. I'm not a psychologist, so maybe we should have one of those people on and we can interview them and find out why.
We'll call Dr. Phil.
I don't know, but it is a known fact. Like,
It definitely is. That's for sure.
yeah. So
So
belief.
believe in yourself and anything can be possible.
That's right.
So for any listeners who want to connect with you and learn more or how to get your services, what's the best place for them to go?
Yeah, they can call me right at the office at 215-607-3535. I'm on all social channels. It's my name, Maria Quattrone, with a Quattrone. Love to talk with you. Happy to assist and be the solution.
Thank you, Maria.
Thank you. My pleasure, Jeff.
Thanks for tuning in to Philly Fortune Talks with Jake Penny. Inspired to share your success story? Visit phillyfortunetalks.com/guest and let's inspire together.